This is where the entire course comes together. Frameworks and models are useful, but they only become powerful when you see them collide with real business chaos. Clean theory rarely survives first contact with the market. In this lesson, we dissect two defining decisions, one that erased an industry leader and one that turned a failing side project into a multi-billion-dollar company. These stories expose how judgment, timing, and framing shape outcomes far more than intelligence or effort. You'll sharpen your ability to diagnose what's happening inside your own company long before the results show up on a spreadsheet. History is the cheapest laboratory you'll ever find. When you study real failures and breakthroughs, you compress decades of experience into minutes without paying the cost yourself. Definitions are forgettable. Consequences are unforgettable. Seeing a cognitive bias implode a billion-dollar empire makes the bias tangible, not academic. Your goal here is pattern recognition, spotting echoes between these stories and your own business. When you hear an executive rationalize a dying strategy or see a team ignore early signs of market pull, you should immediately recognize the trap. This lesson trains your eye to see danger sooner and act faster. Blockbuster's downfall wasn't inevitable. It was chosen. In 2000, Reed Hastings offered to sell Netflix for $50 million. Blockbuster executives laughed. They dismissed streaming as a niche novelty and anchored their judgment to their current success. Thousands of stores, high foot traffic, and massive revenue from late fees. The sunk cost of their physical infrastructure blinded them to how quickly consumer behavior could shift. They defended a business model already under attack from broadband adoption and convenience demands. Netflix, meanwhile, doubled down on the emerging trend Blockbuster ignored. One misjudged meeting altered the trajectory of an entire industry. Blockbuster misframed the problem from the start. They believed their value was renting physical videos, not delivering entertainment. They protected their lucrative late fee revenue instead of recognizing it as a liability customers hated. They evaluated streaming using lagging indicators rather than leading ones. Store revenue looked strong right up until the collapse. Their executives treated digital as a reversible experiment when it was a one-way structural shift. No dissenting system existed. No committee to challenge the CEO's confidence. Their downfall demonstrates how defending the present often destroys the future when the environment is changing faster than leadership admits. Slack's origin story is the opposite of Blockbuster's. The company began as a video game studio building a quirky online game called Glitch. It wasn't gaining traction, and the numbers made that brutally clear. But Stuart Butterfield noticed that the internal chat tool they built for collaboration was unusually sticky. The team loved it. Rather than doubling down on a failing vision, Butterfield made a surgical decision: shut down the game, release most of the staff, and repurpose the tool. It was a high-risk, high-clarity move driven by market reality rather than emotional attachment. That pivot produced a company later valued at $27 billion. Slack succeeded because the team avoided every major bias. They rejected sunk cost. They threw away years of code, design, and ambition. They trusted data, showing customers weren't staying in the game. They acknowledged instinct when the chat tool felt undeniably useful. They pivoted early enough to survive, instead of pretending momentum would magically appear. Most importantly, they listened to an unexpected signal. Customers cared more about the internal tool than the core product. They followed the pull rather than forcing the push. Many founders ignore these anomalies. Slack embraced them. Their success was built on disciplined responsiveness, not luck. Now, the uncomfortable part: you must evaluate your own decisions with the same scrutiny. Are you protecting a product, feature, or business model because you've invested years into it, not because the market wants it? That's blockbuster behavior. Are customers using part of your product in a way you didn't expect, and are you ignoring it because it wasn't the plan? That might be your Slack moment. Are you defining your business by the tools you use rather than the value you deliver? The patterns are visible if you're honest. The real challenge is acting before history makes the decision for you. Every founder has at least one zombie project, alive on paper, dead in reality. Your job is to identify it. Start by defining the decision, continue or kill. Gather objective metrics, usage, retention, CAC, LTV, revenue trends. Then audit for bias. Are you defending this initiative because it works or because you worked on it? Evaluate opportunity cost. What could thrive if this zombie released its resources? Use a simple test. If you weren't already invested in it, would you start it today? If not, the answer is clear. Killing weak projects strengthens the survivors. You've now seen how good and bad decisions cascade through a business. The only way to improve consistently is to build systems, not rely on willpower. Implement the three-step framework for every meaningful choice. Use your no committee to challenge assumptions. Maintain a decision journal to expose patterns in your own thinking. Review risks using your calibrated matrix rather than emotion. Over time, these systems create compound returns, fewer unforced errors, faster recognition of warning signs, and more decisive execution. Mastery emerges from repetition, not inspiration. In the end, everything in business, from capital to technology, can be copied or bought. Judgment cannot. Judgment is the ability to choose correctly under uncertainty, to see reality before others see it, and to act without waiting for perfect information. That skill determines whether your company compounds or collapses. Tools, trends, AI models, and tactics will come and go, but your decision quality compounds across the life of the business. The founder who makes fewer catastrophic mistakes and more timely pivots wins. Judgment is your final competitive edge. This final session showed how real cases expose the gaps that theory hides. Blockbuster collapsed because it protected a dying model instead of confronting reality. Slack scaled because it noticed genuine pull and pivoted decisively. Your takeaway is simple. Pay attention to what the market tells you, not what your ego wants to hear. Retire the ideas that no longer serve you and reallocate energy to the ones that prove themselves in the wild. You now have a full decision system, the three-step framework, balanced data and instinct, AI used for analysis, not truth, bias countermeasures, structured risk assessment, and verification methods that prevent bad advice from slipping through. These tools work together. Use them consistently, and your decision quality compounds over time. This course was designed to sharpen judgment, the one skill that drives every outcome. Carry it forward and put it to work.